It was scary. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was totally introverted. I wasn't like super friendly in high school or anything. Learning that it was a sales business was probably my biggest curve. Learning that we need to know how to talk to people, and obviously there's these technical skills and everything. You only reap what you sow in real estate. It does not just fall into your lap.
All right, you guys, we are here today with a very special guest. It's our last guest of the year. We're finishing off 2023 with a bang. We've got my good friend Vayna Jerabek. Vayna, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, wow. So I'm super excited about this. Vayna has been a friend now for a couple of years. Met her through Thatch Wynn's Springboard to Wealth. We're both in the inner circle, so we get to see each other quite a bit, thankfully. We've done a few deals together already. And Vayna, you might have seen her on YouTube, TikTok, where she's got, I think, 650,000 followers. Instagram's blowing up. Her social media game's on point. But really what she is right now for Gen Z is she's just a beacon of real estate knowledge. And she's just showing people that are young up and comers how to invest in real estate, how to take kind of an alternative path to a W-2. And I'm just so excited for her to be on and share us a little bit more about how she got started and where she's going next. So thank you again.
Appreciate it. It was a glowing vibe.
So Vayna, I guess before we kind of dive into your current, structure of your business, maybe just take us through a little bit of background, where you were, born and raised, and kind of pre-real estate life.
Yeah, pre-real estate. Oh my gosh, my life has been all real estate for like 5, 6 years now. But I am from Washington, born and raised. I actually grew up in the South End a little bit, and now I'm in Renton and King County area. But overall, like I started in real estate right out of high school, so I was a really good student in high school, and because of that, I wanted to give myself lots of options. So if I wanted to go to college, I could go to college. If I didn't want to, didn't go. So I just really focused on being a good student in school. So I kind of had that work ethic. I think I built that in high school. And then, senior year, it came to figuring out what everyone wants to do with their lives. And school counselors and everybody else is saying, go to college. And so I applied to UW. But I really was thinking, and I'm like, I actually don't want to work a normal job. My parents are entrepreneurs, and so I grew up on a lot of Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar, listening to tapes in the car, and they were always saying, "You've got to have goals. Don't be the employer, be the employee. Make money work for you." All of this stuff that we hear now, right? And so I was looking at like the corporate path as far as getting a degree, getting a good job, and then retiring when you're 65. And I was like, if there's a better way, I think I would rather risk it while I'm still young and just go for it. And so, I got into UW, they accepted me, and I even applied, or like I picked my classes for the first quarter. But I just had this like reckoning, if you will, in the summer after my senior year, where I was like, I don't need to do this. I can, like, I'm living at home. I really don't have many bills. I can just like, let me give it a year. Let me skip a year, my first year of college, and see if I can do this real estate thing. And so I dropped out of UW. I did my withdrawal, and then I got my real estate license. So I started as a real estate agent, and that is my pre-real estate into real estate.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing because you see so many people and you hear a lot about the A students going, the A students end up working for the C students, and the A
Right.
students kind of go the W-2 path. But you were the A student and also the entrepreneur, which helps explain why you've been so successful, at an early age. But that's great that you were able to, be book smart, but you had the, I'd say, street smart / entrepreneur smarts because your parents. So
Mhm.
you had the recipe
Yeah.
for success in entrepreneurship. So that's exciting. So you when you first started real estate, I guess, what was that like when you were just kind of getting your feet wet? Was that scary or?
It was scary. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like, I was totally introverted. I wasn't, like, super friendly in high school or anything. And so, like, learning that it was a sales business was probably my biggest curve. learning that we need to know how to talk to people. And obviously, there's these technical skills and everything. But, you only reap what you sow in real estate. It does not just fall into your lap. And so when I got my real estate license, I was super shy. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was going to a lot of real estate like training events and just taking in all the knowledge. Wouldn't network with anybody, but I was learning. And the breakthrough for me, it took me 6 months to make my first check. And the breakthrough was I was learning all of this stuff about like investing and real estate and things that my generation doesn't know. Excuse me. And I realized that more people need to know this. And, just from the fact that I didn't know, I was like, well, if I didn't know this growing up in the industry, then how does anyone else who's didn't know this? So I just focus on giving a lot of value. And I realized that if I could give people what they want, then I would get what I want. And ultimately, learning how to sell and learning how to communicate the knowledge that I was learning helped me. And that's how I landed my first few deals. So 6 months, I got my first deal. And the next 6 months, I closed like 14 deals as a real estate agent. And I was 19 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. So I guess what would you say for somebody that's starting out that doesn't have any knowledge in real estate? What would you say to them as far as the number one thing that they need to focus on if they're going to go for a career in real estate?
I think it definitely depends. Like, if you're already a very outgoing person, you can probably catch that sales gene naturally, but sales is a big one, knowing how to communicate with other people so that you can move them towards the solution that's right for them, right? But I would say overall, just learning, right? Knowledge, because the more you know, the more confident you'll be in your delivery and the more people will listen to you. So if you can have that influence with that knowledge, then people are going to gravitate towards you. You're going to attract the right people who are going to buy, sell from you, and you'll get business.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed that you do really well in terms of, there's a lot of what's called success zombies, right? That go to these conferences and pay all this
Oh,
money for masterminds and learning, but then they just end up going and it's almost like an entertainment thing that they just keep doing. But
yes.
but I've really seen, you're in Thatch's mastermind, you're in a few others that are more like sales based or realtor based. I see you going to those conferences all the time. But when you come back, right, you're hosting your own events and for clients, and they say that you haven't learned something or you don't know it until you're able to teach it to others.
Yep.
And that's something that would you say that's true as well in your own experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when I started doing TikTok and I realized that I was speaking to my generation, then every time I went to these conferences, I went in like with the thought and expectation that I was going to spit this back out to like
Mm.
on my platforms. And doing that and going in with that mindset actually helped me absorb the information a lot better. So, yeah.
That's a great trick.
Yeah.
Going in with the plan that you're going to be reteaching what you're learning, like just that shift of mindset. Like instead of going, to these meetups that a lot of people have, they're free for anybody to go to, but just going into a room with the expectation that you're going to be teaching somebody else is like
Mhm.
that's like a cheat code for anybody that's listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even just thinking about, like, sharing it with your friend or, like, I have a team, so I wanna share it with them after the fact, then
Okay. So you started out kind of as let's say individual contributor, like going in just doing all of your own deals. And how long did you kind of stay that course before you started kind of building your own team and kind of training others to work under you?
yeah, I actually built my real estate team really early on, like, right around when I first started. There were, like, a couple of people my age, like, kids, right, who are also they saw me posting, and they were like, "Hey, I wanna do what you're doing," and so I kinda showed them how to do what I was doing, which was just prospecting, cold calling sellers, looking for listings, and we just ran it as a team every single day, keeping each other accountable and having this really strong culture and accountability and, just, building together, which was really cool. And that went on for a year, maybe 2 years. We were just doing real estate agent stuff, working with buyers and sellers. 2021 is when I started wholesaling and really started, excuse me, getting into the community and doing a lot of like joint venture business and doing a lot of collaboration with other people who want to get into this business.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, That's pretty amazing that you're able to build. How many people do you have under you now on your
About
team?
5, 6 really good agents
Five,
right now.
six. Okay. And you're putting out, you said you did 15 deals in your first couple of years. I don't know. Do you know where you're at right now in 2023?
That's a good question. I think I did like 20 to 25 wholesale transactions.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is wholesale. Maybe explain a little bit between the difference between wholesale and like a traditional listing agent model or a realtor
Yes.
model.
Yes. So when I was a real estate agent, I still hold my real estate license, but when I was doing a lot of real estate agent business, it was all helping people buy their homes, helping people sell their homes on the market. And 2021 is when I met our good friend Scotty T, who got me into the wholesaling game. And he got me into Thatch's program. So I have him to thank for it all.
Yeah.
But he showed me how to wholesale, and we did our first few. And this is just off market pairing sellers with buyers, right? So we would put properties under contract with the seller, and then we basically sell that contract to the buyer for an assignment fee. So there's no commission. We don't close on the house. We don't put money up. It's a very simple, basically like middleman in between the buyer and seller, and that's helping the investors get the off-market deals, and it's helping sellers get convenient sales.
Okay.
And overall, I found it a lot easier than working with buyers and sellers and better money. So I decided to shift my business and focus largely on wholesale. So I've been in business. My first year was 2019 when I did the 14 real estate agent transactions. 2020, or sorry, 2020 was the first year. Then 2021 is when I found wholesaling. 2022, last year, my business was about 60% wholesale, 40% real estate agent. And then this year is like 80, 90% wholesale. So that's my big business now, and it's what I teach. We still hold the real estate license, and I train my agents to work with buyers and sellers just so they know. But ultimately, we only look for fixer properties where the sellers want to sell off the market. And if they don't want to sell off the market, then we can help them list it. And that's our whole business model.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for breaking that down. Well, I know there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of people that are saying, why would any seller ever want to sell their property off market? It's not in their best interest. Maybe explain for folks listening, what are the benefits of a wholesale transaction and why would a seller actually want to do that as opposed to listing their property in the market?
There's a few, and I always say it's pretty jaded for real estate agents to just assume that every house needs to go on the market, because ultimately it takes a lot of time, effort, and money to get a fixer house ready for the market. Like if you guys saw the houses that you and I deal with, it can be a lot. And so for a seller to have, like, imagine just like the house is full of stuff and it's in disrepair, and the roof, there's holes in the roof and everything's falling apart. And the seller is just kind of stuck, right? They don't know what to do. They really just want to move and get it all over with. And their understanding is that they have to talk to an agent and clean it up and spend money and put it on the market and wait for a buyer and then deal with the buyer's contingencies and inspection periods and closings, when there's this other option, which we present, the off market option, where we just buy the property as is, or we offer to have the property sold as is off the market. They don't need to deal with realtors, they don't need to pay commissions, and they can literally just walk away and get their money. Yes, we are buying below market value, but ultimately it's the convenience fee, and the sellers understand that. And 9 times out of 10, our sellers are thanking us, right? Because we made this process easy for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just the other day, I had a situation with we did a CMA or a comparative market analysis for a client. They showed them what are all the homes that recently sold in their neighborhood and what they could get for theirs if they listed it, and then just taking off 6% commission. They were happy with that, that 94% number, 90 to 94% number, because they needed that money to then go into a new home, and they didn't want to move all their stuff into storage. They didn't want to do all the work to prepare the home for sale. And then they're actually going to be somebody that we'll be working with on the buy side as well.
Oh, nice.
So, helping them list and instead of giving, having to negotiate with the buyer and kind of work out all those terms, they're able to just stay in their home until they find a new one. So, there's a lot of ways that you can structure things to make it more beneficial for a seller.
Oh, yeah, and sometimes it's just funny things, like they hate realtors or they don't want to deal, so yeah.
So are you doing most of your business then in South Seattle? Is that your kind of target market?
Kinda everywhere, but, for the most part, it's been very much King County, which I prefer because I live here close by, but, I mean, I work all of Western Washington.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your most recent deal. So you most recently took advantage of some of the new zoning regulations in the city of Seattle or in the broader King County area now, and you bought your first single family development deal. Tell us a little bit about how that came together.
Yeah, this one's exciting because this is why I do it all. I make the money so that I can invest into real estate so that I can eventually stop working. It's very ironic that I'm working very hard to stop working, right? I think we all are, but,
Mhm.
yeah, I bought this house, so funny story, actually. I have a family friend who I like haven't kept in touch with in 20 years. She's known me since I was a baby, but I get a call one day, and this lady goes, "Hey, Vina, you probably don't remember me, but it's so and so from I knew you when you were a baby, but I've been watching your YouTube videos about real estate, and I really want to move down south. I want to get out of Seattle." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." I didn't know what house she had or anything, and, I've done it a million times helping people sell their house to buy their next house. And so I started showing her houses, and I found her a house that was 3 hours outside of Seattle. She fell in love with it. She loved it. And she was like, okay, I just want to be able to sell my current house and buy this house and not have to put any money in. Like, just give me, I just need enough to buy my next house. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I'm like, okay, I'll probably wholesale her house. And so I start looking and I'm like, huh, this how property actually matches up with a lot of the things that we look for as far as investment play. The house was on an alley. It was on single family zoning. The house was towards the front of the lot, so there was room to build in the back. And I was like, "Hey, um, what if I bought your house? How would you feel about that?" And she was over the moon and she loved it. And it was another benefit of working with an investor where if she did this the traditional way, she would have to work with a listing agent, she would have to work with a buyer's agent, and she would have to deal with the buyer's agent on who's buying her house. And with this transaction, I was all of those people. So I helped her buy her house and I bought her house. And so, I'm just really grateful for how that process went and finding the property off the market. Um, but yeah, so I bought it. It was a fixer. It was in pretty rough shape as far as condition. It was clean, but we went in. I totally flipped it. So I bought it for 500,000. I wrote myself a commission, and I'm living there. So I put it was 3.5% down FHA loan, and I credited my commission towards the down payment. So I was in there for $0 to close.
Okay.
Um, yep, I spent 70,000 for the rehab, and now it's worth about 750. So I've got
Wow.
good equity on the main, and then we're gonna be building a DAU in the back.
That is super exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got done with mine. We had the blinds installed today and the tenants in there, and yeah, it's really exciting feeling when those things are done. So I guess for somebody that's young like you, making a ton of money, what is it that what's your mindset? What's your approach towards actually taking some of that money and investing it into real estate and to income producing properties, and how do you kind of not go overboard and just blow all your money at such a young age?
That's a great question. Let me think. Investing is the only thing that makes sense to me. My whole life, my mindset has been setting myself up for the next phase. So, like when I was in school, I got good grades in case I wanted to go to college. When I dropped out of college, I got my real estate license and I set myself up there to be able to make a bunch of money. And I was going to the events and everything and priming myself with the knowledge. And so, making money is all about investing to build up my wealth for the future because I want to give future Vena all the options. I want her to have freedom, option, and choice. And so I don't mind putting my head down, grinding now, making sacrifices, making a bunch of money. You get to like work hard, play hard for sure. But ultimately, you spending most of the money on investments is, what's going to set you up for the next phase. So that's always been my goal is to just move towards having passive income and wealth.
Do you have a passive income goal or uh, right now? What are you targeting? If you don't mind sharing.
My goal by 2025 is $30,000 a month in gross rental income. So,
Wow.
what is that? 10 doors? 10
3,000
8
a door. Yep.
Seattle, yeah.
Okay. Is this your first investment property, the one that you're buying now? Okay.
Mhm.
I think you'll get there. You'll probably get there. Probably get there by next year.
As long as I hit all my goals and that keeps kicking my butt, I should get there.
What would you tell other people that are, coming into money, making good money, and thinking, there's this, and especially for Gen Z right now, there's a lot of people that are of this mindset that they're going to enjoy life now, have experiences, and just push off investing and deal with that later. Whereas I think you and I are more of the like delayed gratification, um, kind of invest now, and so you don't have to worry later. What do you tell your Gen Z listeners that are thinking that they'll just worry about future self in the future?
If you can do it now, do it now. I think as far as what you're speaking to, there is a very happy medium. Like I do not have a boring life. I travel a lot. I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of fun stuff I like to do. And it really doesn't take a lot. We learn in Springboard that you don't need 100 doors or 200 doors to live a very good life as far as passive income coming in because rent is so high in major areas like ours. And so just start very simple, like buy your first house hack, right? Buy a house 3.5% down, live in one room, rent the other rooms. You are going to live for very cheap because you have tenants covering your mortgage. Live there for a year and then go do it again because you can reuse the FHA or conventional loan every 12 months and get that low down payment and just do that for 4 or 5 years. And then you'll have 4 or 5 properties. And if you have 3,000 bucks of rent a door, that's 12 to $15,000 a month. So then when your properties are paid off, you're going to have equity and your net worth as your security cushion, and you're going to have that passive income to be able to do whatever you want. And it doesn't even take a lot.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, you've started so young that you've already got this, huge investment property that is gonna, do so well for you. When I first started out, it was just the first house hack, living in the top unit, renting out the bottom. But it was the same thing in terms of mindset to every step of the way. How do you get to the next step? So for me, it was, save up enough for the first house, get in there, rent out the bottom, and then do that again until I eventually was able to save up enough for my first single family and not have to have roommates or shared walls. But you got to be
Yeah,
willing to make those sacrifices for a while.
yeah, you're the proof in the pudding.
Yeah. So, as far as your business is concerned, what are your goals kind of going into 2024? We're kind of getting to the end of 2023. You've had so much success in so many different areas. I guess what are you focusing on as you turn the page on 2023?
My big goal in 2024 is to hit the million mark, both in revenue and in net worth. So I've had very good multiple six-figure years so far. My goal is to finally get into two comma club, right? $1 million
There you go.
on the wholesale business, and then building equity in the properties. So building in the back of my current house, buying another house, building in some more equity. Um, those are my big goals. Keeping it
I
simple.
like it. Two Comma Club
Yes,
coming
sir.
soon. What would you say to somebody that's just stuck in a W-2 job, or maybe even just getting out of college and trying to decide which way to go in terms of real estate? Or there's just so many different options and so many different shiny objects nowadays for people that are coming out of school and getting ready to go into the working world. What would you say is kind of like the number one advice you would give them?
I have been so about real estate my entire career, like selling it, investing in it, wholesaling it, living it, everything, right? But I would say, even if you have a normal W 2 job that you enjoy and that's paying you really well, you can do exactly what we're doing. Like you've shown it, Ian, having a W 2 job and making good money, and then just building up your real estate portfolio on the side. I don't think you need to be like super into the world of real estate. I think you just need to make a few really smart moves as far as real estate purchases to get you to be able to be financially free, right? And so, people ask me all the time, is real estate worth getting into? Am I going to make money, as far as working it, selling it? And I never guarantee. I'm never like, well, it's yeah, you will make money. I can't say that, but I think ultimately, if you learn the skills, you apply, and you work hard, yes, you will make money. So it's not you just get in and then suddenly it's raining money for sure, but you can get in, work hard, and it'll happen. Like there's no way it doesn't. So I think real estate investing is something everyone should be in. I think in today's economy, every real estate purchase you make, like if you're just getting ready to buy a house, think of it from an investment perspective. Think of it like you're buying this, you're going to live there for a little bit, and then you're going to rent it out and buy another one because that's in America, that is the easiest way to build your wealth and passive income. So start small and just know that it can be simple.
For sure. What are you thinking is going to happen here with rates, and what's kind of your prediction going into 2024?
I do my best to not concern myself with rates. I'm
Yeah,
hearing that they're gonna come down. I bought my house at 6.75, which is low now, and that was just earlier this year. But I just know that, even though I have a pretty high monthly payment, I have a ton of equity in this house, and I can leverage that to do more cool stuff in the future. So I don't worry about rate. I'm sure it's gonna come down eventually. I can't wait until it does so I can refinance.
yeah.
But as long as there are deals out there, that's my only focus. I know that there are a bunch of investors out there buying deals, and I know that they are very smart, rich, and wealthy. And so if they're doing it, then I want to do it too.
I love that. So you're saying if you're a buyer out there on the sidelines, don't just ignore the market now. Don't stay out just because of rates. You're saying there's still some opportunity out there if you're looking for the right deal.
Don't be scared of rates and don't be too picky. I think that's the number one thing we see with new investors coming into the space is if it doesn't hit their pro forma and their exact numbers, then they're not buying it. And that's going to set them back years. But if you find something that's pretty good and you have a good gut feeling about it, I say take it down, learn your lesson if it wasn't a good buy. But, it probably will be because who's going to regret buying a house in 5 years? Not many people.
Right, for sure. Well, I'd be remiss to not ask you, with your social media expertise, a little bit more in terms of how you built your business there, and maybe a few takeaways that we can get for our listeners here today. So, having done your TikTok with I think 650,000, you're probably going to hit 1 million here in the next year, if not sooner.
Yeah.
What are a couple tips that you would give somebody, that's working on social media like myself, that wants to be more consistent and take advantage of, all the great things that social media has to offer? What would you recommend for somebody starting out there?
Social media is fun. It's the most exciting part of my job for sure, and I just really, really love sharing what I know and the feedback I get. People tell me all the time, like, "I learned so much from your videos. I got into real estate because of you. I bought a house because of you." And I think ultimately I do a lot of joint venture business. People send me their wholesales and we work them together out of my social media. And obviously that helps my business, but it also helps other people grow their business. And that's what I really like about it is empowering my generation. So I think my advice would be to have a very strong purpose behind doing what you do. Because if you have a strong why and there's like you have purpose in your presence online, it's going to be very natural for you to create ideas and get in front of the camera and be consistent with it because you have a mission that you're driving towards. Like for me, I really want to empower my generation with the information to invest in real estate and become rich and wealthy. That's really all I want with my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my TikTok. It's all about helping other people, learn what no one else taught them, learn what school didn't teach them so that they can go on and do really great things and teach more people, right? Just makes the world a better place in
Yeah.
general. So,
When you were first starting out on your journey on social media, were you always just so comfortable in front of the camera and kind of getting out there and not being scared about what other people thought? Or is that something that's kind of grown as you've got more confidence in the space?
I wasn't too scared at first. I was really excited to just share what I know and I didn't care about how I looked. I just wanted people to hear like, young or me as a young person making money in real estate. Here's how you do it. Here's how you can get started. And I got really good feedback from that. But eventually I started talking about house hacking and real estate investing and rental property. And that's when the hate started coming in, like
Oh,
hate on landlords. Oh, you're leeching off society, blah, blah, blah. And that did get to me. So when that was happening, I was like, oh my gosh, am I doing something wrong? Am I presenting the wrong way? Like, I know that there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing in my work, but, is there a better way that I should be getting this message across? And, I don't regret any of it because ultimately I got lots of views and people got the information. But I it definitely affected like how I came across on camera for a little while. But that's where I had to like, have this conversation with myself and be like, well, I know what I'm doing. I'm getting good feedback. I'm getting some hate, but that's just going to happen regardless. Like, you're not going to please everybody, and everybody's always going to have something to say. So, I kind of got back into my flow and honed down my message to make sure that it's exactly what I want to say. So
yeah,
that's
that's great.
kind
I
of
mean, you clearly have, had a ton of success in the space, and people always, look at the numbers and think that that came easily, but I know you've been working at it for, years now
yeah.
consistently and studying your results and understanding kind of what you can do better. So it's definitely showing up on the screen,
Thank you.
on the videos. Is there a, I guess, in terms of like how often you post a week or when you post, is there a science behind it now, or you do just try different things and kind of evaluate, each month as far as the results, or what's your approach for like that continued excellence there?
I like to be very intuitive in my approach. Like, if you think about, what social media is, it's just a way to communicate. So if you think about like way, way back in the day when people would stand up and you'd have a live audience and they'd say what they want to say, that's basically what it is. And if the people want to hear you more, they're going to respond and they're going to let you know. And so they're going to naturally, like I say, they're going to gravitate towards the content they like. And once you see that, then you know to keep talking about that thing. So from a technical standpoint, post every day. Post on your stories, post what you're doing, post reels, post shorts. Shorts are the wave, YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, Facebook reels, TikToks. My focus in 2024 is definitely Instagram and YouTube, but I'm not backburnering TikTok. So, um, kind of the realization I've had for my business is that TikTok is for exposure of just me and my brand. I'm not selling much stuff off of TikTok. Instagram, I have high conversion of people who are doing deals with me because I have a lot of local audience on Instagram. I have my friends and family on Instagram. All my connections and network is on Instagram. So I get a lot of real estate business. And then YouTube is definitely more of like the influencer, affiliate, brand deals, things like that. So that is how, like, knowing that, that is how I'm approaching my content strategy in 2024.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I look at people like yourself and Thatch and just people that have really, looked at it like as a science and continued to grow that and commit to it. And this year was my first year kind of getting into it and just pushing myself out there to get more comfortable, and got my first two deals done with clients that I had met on social media.
Yes, sir.
Um, so there's definitely a benefit to kind of getting out of your comfort zone a little bit and putting yourself out there, because to your point, like what you learned at 20 in terms of going to these conferences, learning, but then learning with an intent to apply and teach. um, those are things that I'm learning now, and that I know a lot of people are learning later in life as well. So it's okay, no matter where you're at in that journey. Just keep learning, keep growing, and we'll all get there eventually.
I think so. I think that's it.
So I guess in terms of business side of things, you said you've got a few agents working with you. What are your aspirations in terms of, do you want to continue to grow that brokerage business? Do you want to get more onto the development and the investing side of things, or the social media? How do you want to allocate your time, I guess, going forward?
It's a good question. And I've been having this conversation with myself a lot, especially, coming to the end of the year and planning for next year and the next 5 years. I really love doing social media. And I think that's a big part of my future, is doing a lot more video and sharing a lot more. Um, real estate wise, definitely growing the wholesale business is probably my number one priority. I love my agents. I love having agents, but I think for where I am right now, being young and knowing that I'm going to hit this passive income goal, and then after that, you might not even see me anymore. I think once I have my fun, then I might come back and, do a brokerage model or something like that. But overall, I'm focusing on growing the wholesale business, making that its own little machine here in Washington, and then doing a lot of social media.
I love that. I'm looking forward to it. So, Vena, one of the questions I love to ask, or that I have to ask on this show, is why do you love real estate?
Vayna loves real estate because real estate is the vehicle to wealth. I think, with all the little things and tricks and loans that we can do, and the way real estate is so accessible, you can buy your first house for 3% down, you can rent it out, you can house hack, you can flip it, you can do whatever you want. I really, excuse me, I like that real estate is real and you can manipulate it and you can buy, sell it really, fairly easily. And it's just, to me, the more doors we have, the more passive income we have. And it's not going anywhere. People always need a place to live. Like, stocks is like gambling to me. I actually
Mhm.
love gambling, ironically, but stocks is too much gambling for
Yeah,
me. And so real estate being a hard asset, I just love it. And there's great money in the real estate industry, selling houses, wholesaling. There's great money. Anyone can do it. And ultimately you can just shoot off from real
yeah,
estate.
yeah. I totally can relate to that. I mean, everybody wants the microwave approach. Get rich quick. Everybody chases this shiny objects, especially people that are hungry, motivated, and want to create that wealth for their families and their future. Oftentimes we'll go down the different roads. In terms of creating that income and finding different opportunities. But I'll tell you, you can try out all those different things, but make sure you've got real estate right there stabilizing you, because that real estate's always going to be there. It's something that you can always fall back on when all of those other shiny objects don't work out.
Exactly.
Speaking from experience, so just make sure you've got a real estate as a pillar, in your investing future. So Veda, where can everybody find you on your social media?
Well, I know my name is super common, but you can just put into Google and all my stuff will show up. I'm super active on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Okay.
Yep.
And some of the courses and things that you're teaching, would they be able to find those as well if it's somebody in the area that might want to check you out?
Yeah, so I finished it up for 2023, but starting January 2024, I do monthly wholesale trainings here in my office, and we go over how to find deals and how to do them together. So if you're interested in wholesaling, I can definitely help you out.
Okay. And is that a free program or doing some?
Absolutely, of course,
Okay.
it's free.
Are you doing any coaching and things like that next year, you think, or?
A little bit of coaching. I actually kind of beta ran a wholesale virtual mastermind situation thing that, it did pretty well, but, for me, it didn't work out the best. But I probably in 2024 will do some trainings, like short term trainings, like on like wholesaling, investing, social media. So you'll probably watch out for
Love it. All right. Well, I'll be there. I'll be watching.
that.
So thank you so much for coming. Hope everybody had a good time. We got the voice of Gen Z real estate right here, Vayna. So
Yay.
go find her on social. Make sure you give her a follow. And thank you guys for being here. Have a great
Thank
week.